So the idea here is this. You're not just building your own website or LinkedIn profile, you're getting mentioned in multiple credible places. And what this does is it creates a multiplier effect, right? Because that signals authority to AI. And so your Google reviews matter, your social media activity matters, directory listings where you're actually described as specializing in something, those all matter. And being mentioned in these multiple places once again signals authority to AI. I'm Sylvie Garibaldi, founder and CEO of a well-established marketing training and done-for-you services company, tailored specifically for the modern legal and financial professional worldwide. While it's taken some trial and error to figure out which methods get the best results for professionals who are looking to grow their practices, fast forward to today, my team and I have nailed down and perfected a process that has helped so many of our clients consistently achieve outstanding results and create a legacy for their practices. I created the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast to give you simple, actionable, non-salesy, and results-driven marketing to grow your legal or financial practice like so many of our clients have. If you're a lawyer, mediator, financial, or divorce professional who is looking to become highly visible and wants to create a practice that makes an impact, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 118 of the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast. I'm your host, Sylvie Garibaldi, and this is the show where we talk about growing your legal, mediation, and divorce practice in ways that feel good, not pushy sales tactics or gimmicks, just real strategies that actually work. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been listening for a while, thank you. It's most appreciated. We just hit episode 118, and we wouldn't be here without you. So today we're talking about something that I know is on a lot of people's minds right now, and that's AI. And before you think, hey, Sylvia, is this really relevant to me? I'm a lawyer, I'm a mediator, I'm a divorce professional, and I've been getting clients through referrals for 20 years now. So if that's you, I hear you, and here's what I want you to hear back. Referrals are not going away. They are still one of the most powerful ways to grow your practice. But what has changed, and what is changing quickly, is what happens after someone gets that referral. And that's what today's episode is all about. I'm going to actually walk you through what the new client search journey looks like, how AI tools decide who to surface and who to recommend, and practical things that you can do this week to make sure that you're showing up in the AI search. And no special tech background is required, I promise. All right, let's dive right into this. So I have to tell you something that just happened, and I'm still kind of buzzing about it. We just delivered our live workshop, How Lawyers and Mediators Actually Attract Ideal Clients. And I was super thrilled because this was the largest turnout that we've had to date. So we had professionals join us live from the US, Canada, UK, Australia, France, Italy, South Africa, Israel, Romania, and Bulgaria. 10 countries on one call. It was really invigorating. And I mean, how incredible is that, right? The energy in that virtual room was just amazing. People were asking great questions. They were engaging. They were really showing up for their practices. And it really reminded me exactly why I do this work. And I want to give a very special shout out to someone who was watching live. And when I say live, I mean it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, her time. And she was joining us all the way from Australia. So, Lynn, if you're listening to this podcast right now, this one's for you. You showed up, you participated, and I know it was very late for you, 1 or 2 in the morning. And I just think that says everything, the kind of commitment that is exactly what separates professionals who grow from the ones who stay stuck. So congratulations, Lynn. Seriously, I see you and I'm rooting for you. Okay, so I want to start today with a story. I want you to imagine this. It's 11 o'clock at night. Someone has just had a really hard conversation with their spouse and they know they need help, legal help, maybe mediation, maybe a lawyer. They just don't know yet. And they don't call anyone. It's too late for that. Instead, they open up their phone and they type their situation into ChatGPT. And within seconds, they get a name, a recommendation, a professional who sounds like exactly what they need. But here's the problem. That name is not yours. And by 9 o'clock the next morning, that person has already booked a consultation with someone else. So let me say this is not hypothetical. This is happening right now, every single day. And the good news, once you understand how this works, you can change it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, a lot of professionals have a sense that something has shifted, but they can't quite put their finger on what that is. And so, here's what's changed. For a long time now, the client journey looked like this: someone gets a referral from a friend or a colleague. They Google you, they visit your website, maybe they check you out on LinkedIn, and then they pick up the phone and call. And that was the whole process. And so that journey still exists, but there's a new step that's been inserted right at the beginning. And it's one that most professionals don't even know is happening. And so what's happening is clients are now starting with AI. So before they Google anyone's name, before they even ask a friend, a lot of people, especially younger clients, but honestly, all kinds of clients, are opening up ChatGPT or Claude or even Google's own AI summaries, right? You know, when you type something into Google and then you get an AI summary that pops up, and they might type something like, I think I need a divorce lawyer, but I'm not sure if mediation would be better for my situation. Or how do I find a mediator in Chicago? Or what do I look for when hiring a lawyer for a custody dispute? And then AI gives them an answer, and it explains the difference between mediation and litigation. It tells them what questions to ask a professional. And in some cases, especially with tools like Google's AI overviews, it actually recommends specific professionals by name. So I want you to let that sink in for a second. An AI tool is now in the business of recommending lawyers, mediators, and divorce professionals. And it's doing it based entirely on what's publicly available about that professional online. So, if your online presence is thin, if it's vague or outdated, you are invisible to that recommendation engine. Okay? And you don't even know that you're invisible because no one calls you to say, I found someone else through AI. What happens is they just disappear. Now, here's the other piece of this, and this is where it connects back to referrals. Even when someone gets a referral to you today, the very first thing most people do, as you know, is they go online to verify that referral, right? They're not just taking their friend's word for it anymore. They're going to check your website. They're going to look at your social media, in particular your LinkedIn. They're going to read your Google reviews. And yes, more and more, they're also asking AI tools. Hey, I was referred to this person. What can you tell me about them? So, your online presence is now your second handshake, okay? And for a lot of potential clients, it's the one that decides whether they actually call you. So, the question is not, should I care about AI? The question is, what do I do about AI so that I can be found in those searches? And that's exactly what I'm going to cover next. So, I want to talk about something that's really important if you're trying to get discovered through AI. And so, what are these tools actually looking for? And more importantly, how do they decide who to recommend? So, the first thing you need to understand is this: there are many AI tools out there, and I'm sure you're familiar with them: ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, and they all pull from what's publicly written about you. So, it scans for articles, directory listings, social media profiles, websites, and so many other credible sources. They're not magic, they're pattern matchers. And what that means is this: if you're not showing up in these places, AI tools can't pull information about you. And if they can't pull information about you, they can't recommend you in the AI search. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Clear, specific language about your specialty, about your location, and what you help with really matters. So you need what's called a positioning statement, and that's specific about what you do, who you serve, and where, especially if location is relevant to your practice. Why is this happening? Because AI is scanning those articles, those directories, as I mentioned, those podcasts, those websites, because it's looking for that clarity. It's trying to match those patterns. And when those patterns are crisp and specific, then AI can pull them out and use them. So AI also looks for something called authority signals, okay? So, authority signals are things like published thought leadership that take the form of maybe articles, guest posts, podcast appearances, speaking engagements. And these are all deemed credible sources by AI. So, it's important to think about your work in that way, right? It can also include things like featured mentions, Google, LinkedIn activity, engagement. These are all authority signals. So, really, really important for you to pay attention to this. Essentially, what AI tools are actually doing is pretty simple. They scan across these places: your website, articles you've written, your social media profiles, these professional directories that you're listed in, reviews that you've gotten, mentions of your name anywhere online. And AI asks itself, what pattern is consistent here? Okay. So if you say that you specialize in divorce mediation on your website, but there's nothing else about divorce mediation anywhere else online, like no articles or no directory listings, then what happens is AI can't build confidence because it doesn't have enough pattern to work with. But if divorce mediation shows up in multiple places, like your website says it, your LinkedIn headline, you've written articles, you've spoken on stages about the topic, you're listed in mediation directories, you're quoted in news coverage, all these things, that's a pattern that AI can recognize. And that's when it becomes confident enough to recommend you. So, the practical takeaway here is this: AI tools aren't looking for anything complicated. They're just looking for consistency. They're looking for clarity, and they're looking for your name matched to your expertise in multiple credible places online. I'm not sure I can explain that in more simpler terms because, of course, AI can be complicated, but I'm trying to simplify this so that you get the main idea here so that you can start showing up in those AI searches. So, the clearer and more consistent you are across these sources, the easier it is for AI to recognize who you are and what you do, and the more likely that it's going to recommend you when someone asks. All right, if you're listening to this and thinking, this makes sense, but I'm not sure how to translate this into a system that actually works for my practice, that's exactly where we support our clients at SG and Associates. We work with lawyers, mediators, and other trust-based professionals to design marketing systems that are realistic, sustainable, and aligned with how their practice grows and operates. Not systems that rely on constant posting or nonstop effort. So, if you would find this helpful, you can book a strategy call with me. We'll look at what you're already doing, identify what can be established or simplified, and map out a clear path forward. You can find the link in the show notes. All right, so now that you understand what AI tools are actually looking for, let's get practical. Here are 3 concrete ways that you can do this starting today to actually show up when people use AI to search for help. So the first thing is go back and rewrite your about content with AI in mind. And here's what I mean by this. If you're a lawyer, your homepage probably doesn't clearly state your specialty. In particular, if you're a family law attorney and you say something like, I handle divorce. So what happens here is AI doesn't care about the general positioning. AI reads your website the same way potential clients do. So it's looking for specifics. Instead, write something like, I'm a family law attorney in Chicago, specializing in high conflict divorce for couples with significant assets. I help our clients navigate complex property division, spousal support negotiations, and custody disputes when traditional mediation hasn't worked. Okay? So you're filling in the details: who you work with, where geographically, and what you specifically do to help them. Okay? And so those specifics matter because when someone asks ChatGPT, who's a good divorce lawyer in Chicago for high conflict cases, the AI has specific language to match. Okay, I hope this is making sense. If you're a mediator, the same principles apply here. Don't just say, I'm a mediator. You need to be a lot more detail oriented. Once again, I'm a family law mediator in Chicago who helps couples avoid court by reaching mutually agreed upon settlements. I work with couples who want to preserve their relationship with their kids and reduce legal costs. So, really, just being a lot more specific. The key here is write your about section in about 200 words or so, like you're answering a client's actual question and not writing a bio, okay? Because if your homepage doesn't clearly state your specialty, your city, your client, and what makes you different, then you're basically invisible to AI. The next strategy here is to create content that answers the questions that clients are asking AI. So basically, we're looking at common AI queries, such as what's the difference between mediation and litigation? How long does divorce take? Why do I need a divorce lawyer? Why is divorce so expensive? Et cetera, right? So being very specific, what are the questions that clients ask you when they're working with you? Okay. So you need to be able to use those questions to be found in AI. If you're a lawyer, you want to write short, direct articles or FAQs. FAQs are really important for websites. So, for example, why do I need a lawyer versus a mediator? And then you can respond with when you use a lawyer, you get an advocate for who fights for your interests. When you use a mediator, you get a neutral third party who helps both of you reach agreement. Here's when to choose each one. And then you go on to describe that. Okay. So you want to create content that answers the question clearly and specifically, and then post it on your website. So Q's and A's are important, and then link to it from your homepage. So if you're a mediator, same sort of thing. Write articles. What's the difference between mediation and litigation? How much does mediation cost compared to litigation? Okay, so short, direct, specific AI tools will pull from this. All right, super important. So I hope you're seeing the pattern there. You're really creating a library of content that answers what people are actually asking AI. So, for example, if you're a workplace mediator, one of the questions could be, can workplace mediation help with retention? Those are the sorts of questions that you want to put on your website or in your social media posts or when you're presenting in webinars or workshops or when you're being quoted in articles, right? So AI scans all of this information, and that's how they come up with their answers. So, the third strategy here is building your citation footprint. What I mean by this is basically being mentioned in multiple credible places that can signal authority to AI. For example, what does this look like? This means getting mentioned in multiple places, like maybe guest articles on reputable websites, mentions in professional directories, interviews, podcasts or publications, presentations that you deliver that's picked up in the media, etc. So AI is really looking for those authority pieces. And so when your name shows up in these places, it's going to be linked to your expertise. And what happens is it signals to AI that you're someone worth recommending. If you're a divorce financial advisor, same thing. You can pitch articles, podcast appearances, interviews on divorce financial planning, all these places to get noticed so that AI can pick it up. So the idea here is this. You're not just building your own website or LinkedIn profile, you're getting mentioned in multiple credible places. And what this does is it creates a multiplier effect, right? Because that signals authority to AI. And so your Google reviews matter, your social media activity matters, directory listings where you're actually described as specializing in something, those all matter. And being mentioned in these multiple places once again, signals authority to AI. So think about it. It could be one blog post, one guest appearance on a show, one directory listing at a time, but all of this adds up, and AI is scouring for this information. So each one is basically a citation that tells AI, hey, this person is credible. This person knows what they're talking about. So just to quickly recap here, rewrite your about content so it's specific and clear. Create other pieces like articles, blogs, Q&As, actual questions that clients are asking. And 3, make sure you're building your citation footprint by getting mentioned in these multiple third-party places. Okay? Do all these 3 things and you won't just show up in AI searches. You're going to show up as someone worth recommending, right? So I want to be honest about something here. All of this showing up in AI searches, like optimizing your online presence, getting recommended by the different AI platforms, it is important. But I have to say, it's also not the whole game. Okay, so hear me out on this. There are things that AI will never be able to do. And these are the things that are fundamentally human, right? And those things matter way more than we might think. So I'd like to think of it this way. AI may get you through the door, but it's you as the professional who builds the relationships and closes the sale, right? So it's important to remember that, yes, AI is important, but you as the human, as the professional, is the one that's going to help them get the results that they're looking for. And I think that's super important. So, as a quick example, if you're a divorce coach, AI can tell someone that they should talk to a professional about divorce, and it can explain what divorce coaching is. But it can't be the person who listens to them cry, who validates their fears, and helps them see a path forward with the right resources. That's entirely up to you, not AI. Okay, so I hope you're seeing the key distinction here. Yes, you need to show up in AI searches, but let's understand what's happening here. AI is the new front door. However, you're still the person who closes the sale. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And here's where I want to push back a little bit as well. Professionals sometimes try to game AI by stuffing keywords or creating shallow content or hiring someone to blast out a bunch of mediocre articles. And it's important to think about that and to use your judgment because AI tools are increasingly looking for genuine expertise. They're looking for clarity of thought, for specifics, for real useful content that actually helps people, not keyword density and not quantity of mentions and not fake authority. So if you're going to invest your time in any of this, and you should invest in real expertise. So invest in clarity about what you do and who you do it for. Invest in actually helping people understand their options. And that's what AI surfaces. And that's what actually converts. So I want to spell out what AI can't do. And I think this is super important because AI can't empathize. AI can't make judgment calls in messy situations. AI can't navigate the emotional complexity of a divorce case or a workplace mediation. If you're a lawyer, AI can't know that this settlement offer is actually fair, even though it looks bad on the surface. It can't read a client's face and know that they're not telling you something important, right? And it can't negotiate against an adversarial attorney. So it really doesn't know when to push and when to compromise to get the client the best outcome. Only you can, all right? And so if you're a mediator, same thing. AI can't make sense when a conversation is about to blow up and know how to de-escalate it. It can't recognize that one party is operating from fear instead of reason and then adjust their approach. I hope that's making sense. So it's really this kind of neutrality and trust that only you as a human can do. So these are the things that separate an average professional from an exceptional one. And these are the things that clients will always, always pay for. And here's how I think about it as well. AI is making it easier for people to find you, but that also means that you need to be better at the things that only you can do. So what do I mean by this? More people are using AI to search for help. We know this already, which means more people are actually considering working with a professional, but they're also comparing you to more options. So the bar for good enough has gone up. So super, super important. Yes, you want to be competent, but you also need to be clear. You need to be responsive, and you really need to actually make your client feel heard and cared for and not just competent. Here's the good news. If you're really good at these things, if you genuinely help people, AI is the best marketing tool you've ever had because now people can find you. And once they find you, your actual skill, your care, your empathy, your actual expertise, all of that is what helps convert new clients. So yes, do the AI stuff, optimize your online presence, make sure people can find you, but please don't trick yourself into thinking that that's the only game in town, right? The real game is still building relationships. I'm a big believer in this. Yes, solving problems and genuinely helping people through, the most difficult times of their life. AI just makes it easier for them to find you so that you can do what you do really well. So keep showing up in those AI searches, but show up even more powerfully when they actually talk to you. I want to share with you quickly a 3-step homework that I think is going to be a really valuable exercise for you. All right, so you've heard what AI tools are looking for, and you know the three strategies that we talked about, so you understand where the real value is. So now I want to give you some homework to engage in, okay? And this is simple but important. So I want you to open ChatGPT and don't wait for tomorrow, do it today, and type in this exact question. Who are the best? And then enter your specialty in your city and then enter the name of your city. So, for example, if you're a family law attorney, you can type in something like, who are the best family law attorneys in Chicago for high conflict divorce, or fill in your own actual specialty. Same thing with workplace mediators, divorce professionals. And here's what you're going to look for. Are you on that list? If you are, notice how you are described. Notice what AI highlighted about you. Is it accurate? Is it what you want people to know about you? If you're not on that list, that's your signal. That's the work we just talked about. And the good news is you can actually fix it. Okay, so here's the second part. Ask the same AI tool a question that a real client would ask, such as, what should I know before I hire a divorce lawyer? Or what's the difference between mediation and litigation? And see what comes up. See whose content AI is pulling from. That's very interesting to see because that tells you what's actually ranking and that tells you what content is actually visible to AI. So I want you to do this by the end of day today or tomorrow, but don't wait until next week. It'll only take you 10 minutes and it'll show you exactly where you stand. So the next part of this is then go to your website and find your About section and think about rewriting the first part of your About section and make it clear, make it very clear. 1, who you are. 2, what you specialize in. 3, where you are, if location matters for the work that you do. And 4, what makes you different. All right, super, super important. And this isn't just vanity. This is what AI scans for. This is what clients read in the first 30 seconds. Get this right, and everything else will become easier. Okay, I hope that's making sense. All right, so now create one piece of content. That's it, just one, but it should answer a real question that a client actually asks you, not something abstract, not something theoretical, a question that you've been asked before that comes up multiple times. For example, if you are a mediator, it could be, well, what can I expect in the first mediation session? What does it look like? Or if you're a lawyer, it could be, what does the discovery process look like? So, what are the top questions that you get? Okay. And here's why this is important. You're actually creating a piece of content that a client might actually ask an AI tool about. And when they do, your content could show up there. And when it shows up, they read it. And when they read your clear, useful answer to their actual question, they think, this person gets it. This is who I want to work with. I'm going to reach out to this person. And here's the thing. If you do this once every 2 weeks for the next year, okay, think about that, about writing one piece of content with an important question that you know is always asked. By the end of next year, you're going to have 26 pieces of content. All right, you're doing one every 2 weeks. You'll have answered 26 real questions that actual clients are asking. AI will have plenty to pull from, and you'll be positioned as the expert. Think about this and see how you can get this on your schedule to start engaging in this work. And look, I know you're busy, and I know this is homework. I know you have clients, you've got cases, you've got people depending on you. But here's the thing. These things, checking where you stand, cleaning up your positioning, and writing one piece of content, take maybe 4 hours in total. And in return for 4 hours, you're going to get discovered by people who are actively looking for something exactly like you. This does take time, and it doesn't happen overnight. But the key thing here is people who have already decided they need a professional. And all they need to do is to find you. So please do the homework, all those 3 steps, because this work really matters. As we wrap up here, I want to say this. We're at a really interesting moment in time with AI because it's changing how people search for help. And it's also changing how you, as a professional, is being found. And in essence, it's also changing the rules of visibility. Okay, but here's what this actually means for you. If you're really good at what you do, this is the best time to be discovered because people are actively using AI to find people exactly like you, and they've already decided that they need help They just need to find someone like you. Please know that you have to show up, you have to be visible, and you have to be very clear in your messaging about what you do and who you do it for. Because if you're not visible, someone else will be, and they are the ones that are going to be hired. But the good news is this is fixable, and it doesn't require you to become some kind of marketing guru. It doesn't require you to spend thousands of dollars on ads. It just requires you to do the work that we talked about today with consistency. And that's a choice that you get to make, and that's entirely up to you. So as I mentioned, think about doing your homework, all 3 steps. And here's what I know. The professionals who are going to win in the next year are really the ones who understand how AI is changing search. They're the ones who show up. They're the ones who are clear about what they do. And they are the ones who are actually doing the work to get visible. And you can be one of those people too. It just starts with taking the next step. So go do it. Check where you stand, clean up your positioning, write that piece of content, and then let me know what happens. Shoot me an email. I'm rooting for you. Thanks for tuning in today. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss future episodes packed with actionable strategies to grow your practice. See you in the next episode.